Hello again. So this is just going to be a quick bonus video where I take the animal skins from the last episode and reuse them to make a few other things. And I'll start things off with a little tent. Now the frame for this is pretty much the same thing as you saw back in episode 84, for the regular tents, with the only real difference being that I've also cut away the central pole when making this one, as you can see in the little graphic. Then, from that same PDF, I've also taken the canvas texture and glued that to some card to make a little template. And finally, here's the skins texture from the huts, which I've printed on both sides of the paper. Then, like I say, we can use the canvas shape as a template to help us cut out a piece that's the right shape. So, something like that. Then, if I clear all of this stuff away, we'll just need to scrunch that last piece up to make it nice and malleable, and then glue that into place. Just like the tents in episode 84. Which is, well, that's what you can see me doing here. And this is what it should look like when we're done. So it's very similar to the regular tents that I made, it's just, well, slightly more primitive looking. Okay, for this next piece, we could use some paper with the texture printed on both sides again, or if you have some offcuts like I do, you can just fold that in half, apply some glue to the back, and then stick the two halves together, and make a double-sided sheet that way. And here's one that I made a bit earlier that's had plenty of time to dry. Now, we're going to use this to make some kind of partition or windbreak, that kind of thing, so I want mine to be roughly 1 inch tall, around 2 inches long, and as you can see, I've angled the two ends so that the one side is longer than the other, plus I also like to cut a slight curve into the longer side. Hopefully that makes sense, but you should be able to see what I've done there. Then, like with most of these builds, we'll need to scrunch that up to give it lots of little folds and creases. And if you like, you can make the two longer sides a bit torn and tattered again, like I'm doing here. So yeah, pretty basic stuff. Okay, next we'll wrap a couple of toothpicks in the wood texture, and we're going to need to cut these a little bit longer than the two shorter sides of the piece that we just made. Just using a sharp knife or something like that. Then, using a bit of hot glue, we'll glue the first of these into place so that one end of the stick is flush with the straighter of the two long edges. And then we can do the exact same thing with the other toothpick, so that when we're done, we end up with this kind of thing. Next, it's just a matter of cutting out a suitably sized base. I'm just using one of the grass textures stuck to some thick card for this. And, as you've probably guessed, we'll then need to stick these two pieces together. And when doing this, I only apply some hot glue to the bottom of each toothpick, as that's usually enough to hold it in place. So yeah, when that's done, here's what we're left with. And, as I said earlier, these could be used as simple windbreaks, or partitions, or even to make little enclosures, things like that. Right then. For this last piece, I've glued some more of the wood texture to some drinking straws, and also around a few barbecue skewers as well, as the aim for this next piece is to make a really crude looking gazebo kind of thing, and these are going to be used to make the frame. Now, there's no real right or wrong way of making something like this, so I've just put a basic image of the kind of thing I'm trying to put together in the corner of the screen, and I'll then just leave the video running so that you can see me trying to achieve something like that. Though, as you just saw, I did make sure that the posts are going to be taller than the model, just so that, miniatures will fit inside. Anyway, as I say, I'll leave the video running so that you can see exactly how I've put this one together. So there you go, here's how that looks, and I have tried to make it look a little bit wonky and not perfectly square. Now for the roof, I've got another piece of double-sided hide texture that's been crumpled up, and that just needs to be glued to the top. Though in a second you might be able to see that I'm not going to pull it tightly across the frame, as I think it actually looks better to have it be a bit uneven and to preserve some of the folds and creases. So there's some more glue going on now, and here I am sticking the roof down, and as I say, I'm purposely trying not to make it look too neat. Plus, I also want it to look like it's sagging in the middle. Then, when the glue's set, it's just a matter of cutting away most of the excess, like you can see me doing here. And then adding some little cuts and tears again, so that it matches the rest of the stuff that we've been making. And when doing this, I also like to try and make sure some of the barbecue skewers are visible in each of the corners, and kind of cut and bend the texture around them. But yeah, for the sake of completeness, I'll keep the video running while I do all of that. And there you have it. There's a simple shelter. And this could be a place where, I don't know, maybe it's covering some supplies or some loot, or maybe it's an outdoor work area, something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this bonus video, so here's a picture with some of this stuff alongside the huts that I made in the last episode, and as you can see, they just add some extra variety, which is, well, that's rarely a bad thing. So thank you very much for watching. This is probably going to be my last video of 2024, though I will say that if you've been following my posts over on the various social media platforms, then you might already know that I'll be starting the new year off with another community challenge. So we've got that to look forward to. But yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.